Hi, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
How you doing, brother? Hey, how's it going? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Before we speak about the settlement, I want to give New Yorkers an update on the winter weather that continues to impact our city. While the sun and rising temperatures would typically help the city's response following snowfall, this cold is persistent, this snow is stubborn, and this danger is real. And first, I want to thank the thousands of city workers who have gone above and beyond to lift snow off of our streets and to look after those most at risk in a moment like this. And yet we know that there is clearly so much more to be done as we maintain our efforts to clear crosswalks and bus stops, to melt snow, and above all, to protect New Yorkers who are most at risk from this historic and dangerous cold. City workers working 12-hour shifts, whether 2,500 sanitation workers per shift, have cleared 18,814 crosswalks, 5,784 fire hydrants, and 12,986 bus stops. Thanks to that hard work, we have cleared 100% of bus stops with shelters across the 5 boroughs. Now, across those same 5 boroughs, they have melted over 43 million pounds of snow at our 8 snow melting sites, which are spread across each borough. We have used now over 170 million pounds of salt to keep roads safe and passable. And as we speak, hundreds of DSNY workers, contractors, and emergency snow shovelers are breaking up snow ridges and carving paths through mountains of snow, because there is nothing more frustrating than having to take a longer detour because an intersection is impassable. And we know that parents with children and New Yorkers with disabilities are particularly impacted by these conditions. Make no mistake, we are doing everything in our power to clear the snow. And as the cold continues to buffet our city, we remain in a code blue. Outreach workers are working tirelessly to help homeless and vulnerable New Yorkers into shelter. We have warming sites and vehicles open across New York. No one will be turned away. Brother, we will have time for photos soon. The city will remain on the job. But we ask New Yorkers to contribute as well. If you see anyone that you think might need help getting into shelter, please call 311 immediately. As it is a code blue, that call will be rerouted to 911. Please continue as well to try to stay off the roads and use public transportation when possible. Wear sturdy boots and layers, keep your extremities covered if you go outside, and check in on your neighbors, especially older adults, people with disabilities, and those without access to reliable heat. And as this weather continues, please continue to stay informed as well and sign up for regular updates by texting Notify NYC to 692-692. This will give you emergency alerts. You can also provide it with your zip code and have them be localized. Thank you. Please stay warm. Please stay prepared. And please stay safe, New York. Now, we are together today to speak about the delivery workers who I know have brought soup or pad thai or biryani into the doors of countless pajama-clad New Yorkers over this past week as they stayed inside to weather the storm. Delivery workers rarely have the luxury of sheltering from the elements. If you are one of the tens of thousands of New Yorkers who makes ends meet in our city as a delivery worker, your daily life can be described in a single word: relentless. The expectation that you show up to work, that you bike through the rain or through the heat or through snowdrifts, it is relentless. The bills you have to meet, the costs that keep on rising, it is relentless. And the mistreatment that too many delivery workers are subjected to by the massive, impossibly wealthy corporations that they work for, that is no less relentless. And yet we know that when delivery workers turn to government and ask for support, for advocacy, for even the most basic empathy, what they have long received in return has been the opposite of relentless. We want to create a new precedent. For a very long time in our city, the norm has been for government officials to stand alongside solely those who are accumulating this wealth. And yet what we know is that in this moment, it is critically important that we also stand alongside those who have been working each and every day to generate it. And what we see in this moment is that it cannot simply be the solidarity in the words that we share, in the lawsuits that we pursue, but also in the meaningful action that we take to right the wrongs of the past and the results that that action creates. I am proud to be joined here, not only by our elected officials, but also by our Commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, Sam Levine, as we announce more than $5 million in penalties and restitution that will be paid by Uber Eats, Fantuan, and HungryPanda to more than 49,000 delivery workers across the city. All three corporations basically did the same thing. When deliveries or trips were canceled, they did not pay workers for time they had already worked, even though the law says that they must. Uber went further, using an automated cancellation rule to lock workers out of the app, even when the cancellation wasn't the worker's fault, cutting them off from their jobs and their income. That is why Uber specifically has to pay 48,000 workers $3.1 million in restitution. They will also reinstate workers who were wrongfully deactivated during that same time period, a number which could be as large as 10,000 New Yorkers. And we will continue to fight on behalf of these New Yorkers who keep our city running but rarely have a champion that they can turn to. And I'm thankful that in the elected officials that we have here, whether it be our former colleague and now city council member, Harvey Epstein, whether it be our state senator, Kristen Gonzalez, our state assemblywoman, Claire Valdez, our city councilwoman, Julie Wan, that they will now also find champions within our agencies, within our departments, within our city government as well. And when it comes to the work that we are doing, over this past month, Commissioner Levine and I have stood together to lay out our agenda to protect working people from the greedy corporations that try to rip them off. We've fought already for delivery workers whose pay has been stolen by multi-million-dollar app companies. We've signed executive orders to target junk fees that add cost to New Yorkers' hotel bookings or concert tickets. We've created a citywide junk fee task force. We've gone after subscription tricks and traps that deceive our neighbors. And throughout it all, we have been guided by a singular goal: to work as hard and relentlessly on behalf of working people as they do every day. And with today's settlement, we have taken one step further in that direction. Thank you very much. And now I will bring up our Commissioner, Sam Levine.
Thank you, Mayor Mamdani. Thank you to Lihia Gualpa, our fearless leader of the Workers' Justice Project, for your relentless advocacy and partnership. And thank you to the dozens of deliveristas who are here today in the back, to my left, to my right, behind us. We have dozens of folks here today. Most of them biked here. It's great to see them. And today we're here to announce a major victory for the deliveristas of our city and for New York City workers. Thanks to the hard work of DCWP litigators, data scientists, and investigators, we're recovering $5 million in worker relief and penalties from delivery apps Uber, Fantuan, and HungryPanda for violating New York City's minimum pay law. 50,000 cheated workers will benefit from these actions, recovering not only the wages they lost, but damages to compensate them. But as the mayor alluded to, today is about more than money. In a historic first for our city, our action against Uber will give up to 10,000 wrongfully deactivated drivers the chance to get their jobs back. For thousands of workers, reactivation is not some abstract policy concept. It means rent gets paid, food's on the table, kids stay in school, and lives are put back on track. This is what it looks like when we have a city government and a mayor who are relentless about advancing worker rights. And it builds on what has already been a big month for working people in New York City. 2 weeks ago, we released a report blowing the whistle on design tricks by Uber and DoorDash that drove down deliveristas' pay by more than $500 million. That same week, we stood alongside Workers' Justice Project and Los Deliveristas Unidos to announce a lawsuit against MotoClick and its CEO, charging them with stealing millions of dollars in pay and tips. At the same time, we sent warning letters to the city's largest app companies, putting them on notice that they needed to start complying with our strongest in the nation deliverista protection laws or face serious consequences. Last week, we defeated last-ditch efforts by the app industry to cancel our minimum pay law and gut protections against tipping manipulation. And just yesterday, we join NITWA, 32BJ, and council leaders to celebrate new deactivation protections for rideshare drivers, expanded opportunities for street vendors, and higher pay for our city's security officers. So we've been busy, and we're just getting started. Over the coming year, we'll continue fighting for this city's workers using every tool we have, and one of our most important tools is you. For the tens of thousands of rideshare drivers, deliveristas, security guards, and workers across the city, if you're being cheated on the job, tell us. Call 311. Visit nyc.gov/workers. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Workers are our eyes and ears, and it will take all of us working together to make sure New York's worker protection laws can live up to their promise. Let me close with this. 1 month ago, the former mayor tried to block legislation that would improve life for rideshare drivers, for street vendors, and for security officers. Yesterday, as I mentioned, the Mamdani administration stood alongside those same workers to celebrate the council overriding those vetoes. And today, the mayor is standing here to celebrate a historic action to restore thousands of workers' pay and livelihoods. What a difference 1 month makes.
Right.
What a difference to finally have a mayor who puts the interests of working people ahead of powerful corporations looking for favors from City Hall. And this administration is just getting started. Together, we'll continue cracking down on predatory delivery apps, aggressively enforcing the delivery worker laws, and holding companies and individuals accountable for ripping off the working people of New York City. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And to my aunt and to Leah.
Wow. Well, I'm very honored to be here with some of the most strongest deliverista champions from our mayor, from our Assemblywoman Claire Valdez, Christine Gonzalez, Harvey, who we have been in this fight for a really long time, Julie Won, who represents this district. Thank you for being here. And all the deliveristas, this is a historic day. Thank you so much for Mayor Mamdani and our new commissioner, Sam Levine, for their commitment to justice, for refusing to back down for some of the most powerful companies who have tried to bully us day by day. Today is the result of leadership. Leadership from our elected officials, from our mayor, from our commissioner, from every worker leader who has fought these greedy app delivery companies. This moment happened because this administration chose to stand with deliveristas. And because deliveristas organized, spoke up, refused to be silent. And for years, app companies treated the law as optional. Something game with algorithms and loopholes. They built systems designed to underpay deliveristas, cancel trips without compensation, deactivate people without explanation, and dare anyone to stop them. This settlement proves that those days are over. Their bluff has been called. This is a symbolic victory. It shows that New York City delivery workers' protections are real. They are enforceable standards with real consequences, because the people doing this dangerous work are real human beings who deserve dignity, who deserve justice, and deserve respect. More than $5 million in restitution and penalties sends a clear message. Compliance is no longer a suggestion. The city is enforcing the law, and workers are seeing justice in a tangible form. The reinstatement of 10,000 deliveristas who were wrongly deactivated is specifically historic. Deactivation is not just losing access to the job. It's losing income overnight, losing housing stability, losing the ability to support their families. By forcing companies to reverse their decision, this settlement recognizes that the activation for what it is, devastating form of economic harm to working New Yorkers. Let's be clear. Let's be clear that what happened with these companies is not an isolated mistake or a technical error. Nearly 50,000 delivery workers were affected by a predatory practice built directly into how these companies pay, discipline, and control workers. What companies call innovation functions as a system to exploit workers. That ends now. For deliveristas, this moment sends an unmistakable message. Deliveristas have power. And we will no longer accept exploitation. Through collective action, public pressure, you force accountability from these companies. This victory goes beyond the companies. So let me just say something. When we were hit by a pandemic, when we were hit by a snowstorm, many deliveristas struggle getting some of the tips. And when the tipping law passed, many of them received that as a way to be able to receive additional income. And for many deliveristas, tipping is not additional income, just is a form to receive gratitude from New Yorkers from doing one of the most dangerous jobs in the city. And for them, there's no better way to receive gratitude than a generous tip or additional income. And today, historic settlement, the New York City mayor just said thank you to the deliveristas by putting $5 million back into their pockets. Nice tip, Mr. Mayor. And also want to encourage my fellow New Yorkers that if you're out there ordering, especially during a snowstorm, be generous, 10%. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Levine, for delivering this win. Today, you show real love. And I'm 100% sure every deliverista here and out there feels it. Many say that there's no better way than a good tip or extra income, and you just made that possible. And to the apps, be ready. New York City runs on deliverista power. Today's victory sends a clear message. Workers are changing the balance and power. A more just future for deliveristas isn't a distant dream. It's a reality. It's taking shape right here, right now, at this moment in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Power! Power! Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Abu Akaki. I'm a delivery worker and organizing leader with Los Deliveristas Unidos. I want to thank Mayor Mamdani and Commissioner Levine for helping bring us to this moment and for standing together with a New York City 80,000 app delivery worker. Today marks another historic victory for deliveristas in our struggle for justice, a long and broader struggle against companies that have enriched themselves by cheating workers, evading the law, and treating human beings as disposable machines without right or dignity. This week, extreme weather show exactly why a day like today matters. While New Yorkers stayed indoors, delivery workers were out in a dangerous condition, keeping the city running. Every delivery was harder. Every delivery was risky. Yet, workers were out bringing New Yorkers that's what they need and doing with the pride and honor of knowing that we keep this city moving. Yet far, too many deliveries are doing this essential work have been unfairly and unjustly deactivated, plunging them and their family into economic crisis or forced to work long hours in difficult conditions without even the guarantee of minimum pay. As essential workers, we deserve to be compensated fairly by the company we make richer every day. And on top of all this we shouldn't have to worry about our pay and tips being stolen by multi-billion-dollar corporations or switched off because of a reckless decision of an algorithm. While today is a victory, the scale of injustice involved in this settlement show what the deliverista are up against in confronting companies that make exploitation and abuse of workers a core feature of their business model. Because time and again, we see the same pattern from this company, lie, manipulation, and unchecked cooperation power. When workers win protection, companies reward the system to award them. When the law set standard, they had beyond algorithm to steal from us and escape accountability. And when workers speak up and assert their right, they are met with silence, retaliation, or automatic removal from the app. But no more. This 5 million settlement against Uber Eats, Fantuan, and HungryPanda will deliver restitution and penalty affecting nearly 50,000 workers and require Uber Eats to reinstate up to 10,000 workers who were wrongfully deactivated. This is not symbolic. It is real enforcement with real consequences. It sends a clear message that minimum pay is not optional. Injustice and arbitrary deactivation will not be tolerated, and no law applies to everyone, no matter the size of a company. It means that what those companies have tried to build, automatic exploitation, deception, theft of workers, have earned money, a total loss of accountability is being dismantled. Today, delivery workers are standing shoulder to shoulder with the city of New York. And together with the mayor and commissioner, we are putting the app company on notice. The past is over. A new future is being written in the ink of justice and with the strength of workers. Worker dignity is not negotiable. The law is not optional. The era of app impunity is over. We are 80,000 strong and we will be holding you accountable. So let them know one more time, who has the power?
We have the power.
What kind of power?
Power.
What kind of power?
Power.
Thank you to everyone.
Wow, what a month. Amazing. Thank you both. My name is Harvey Epstein, council member who's chair of the Consumer Worker Protection Committee. And it's an amazing opportunity when we focus on economic justice and we get results. Delivery workers, they feed our city. They have really tough jobs. You know, in 2025, delivery workers made about 1 million deliveries for New Yorkers. 80,000 delivery workers across our city. Now, these workers show up and they want to put money in their pockets. However, these app companies who are making millions and billions of dollars seem to ignore their interests. Over 50% of workers who were surveyed said they had their bike stolen. 30% said they were physically assaulted. They have difficult jobs, hazardous conditions. It's a disgrace that these billionaires, these big companies, steal their wages and take their tips and struggle and take their funds. However, if you look at this, organizing matters. The work that Workers' Justice Project does matters. Thank you for your leadership and your work. This is restoring 10,000 people's jobs, giving $5 million back to the workers. So this is a moment to say those old days are gone. Those old business models don't work anymore. We are not going to be able to continue to cheat workers, which is what the mayor's done, the commissioner's done, and what the council did yesterday. I'm proud to stand with the mayor, my colleagues in government, Senator Gonzalez, Assemblymember Valdez, council members Wong and Abreu, for all your leadership. This is a partnership between government and organizing workers to make everyone's lives better. That's exactly what we hear the commitment is. I'm proud that the mayor's doing this work. I'm proud to stand with him today. Thank you.
Mayor, if you're a New Yorker right now, should you be saying to yourself, boy, the city's done a terrific job with this storm? Or what is your message to people who say, yes, I heard you about the 18,000 intersections, but there are maybe tens of thousands of other intersections that are still not great? What do you say to the frustrated New Yorkers?
That the work continues. And we will never be a city government that pats ourselves on the back for what has already been done. We will always ask ourselves, what more can we do? And that's why I'm so thankful, frankly, for the 2,500 sanitation workers that are working each 12-hour shift. The fact that as soon as a number of city workers at other agencies completed their own agency responsibilities, they've now been redeployed to assist with sanitation. We have additional contractors, additional emergency snow shovelers, and the work, it continues until every single New Yorker, no matter their mode of transport, is able to get around the city that is theirs.
Katie and Dana.
Hi, Mayor Mamdani. I wanted to ask
Hey, Katie, how's it going?
Good things. The Health Insurance Stabilization Fund and whether it contributes at all to the projected $12 billion budget gap over 2 years. So what is your plan to address the healthcare funding shortfall for retirees and city workers?
The $12 billion fiscal gap is one that is driven in large part by the two major factors I was speaking about the other day. One is the continued under-budgeting by Mayor Adams of city services, at times under-budgeting 50% of the actual cost, and the other being the increasingly growing chasm between what the city contributes to the state and what it receives in return. When it comes to the specifics of the budget, we will be sharing that on the 17th.
Would you want to talk a little bit about the health care savings solvency? I know for retirees and current workers, you've spoken about it previously, but if there's any update to it.
At this time, this is the focus is on the fiscal gap, but we will share more updates as they come.
Yeah, Dana,
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Hey, Dana. How's it going?
In your administration's investigation into the 10 deaths in the cold, have you been able to trace any of them to encampments?
No, at this time, what we have found is that around, I would say, 7 out of 10, we suspect hypothermia to have played a role. With 6 out of 10, we see prior engagement with our city's shelter services. It is still too early, however, to provide a comprehensive cause of death, because that will wait for the medical examiner.
And you think with the information that comes with the autopsies and all that, that we will sort of be clear about whether these people were living outside at the time?
I think what it will tell us is what their cause of death was. And I want to just be very clear, which is that over the course of this Code Blue, which is something that began before the snowfall and something that now continues after the snowfall, our laser focus has been on using every single tool at our city's disposal to canvass and conduct outreach of homeless New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. And it's frankly thanks to the work of those incredible city workers who I joined one night for their shift that they've been able to make more than 600 placements into safe havens and into sites of shelter. And these city workers also include NYPD officers who've been assisting amidst this kind of cold. And what we know is that the cold is continuing. It is continuing through this weekend. It is continuing into next week. And so what we are asking New Yorkers to do is stay inside. When they see someone who is outside who needs assistance, do call 311. The call will be rerouted to 911. And when the city deems that a person is a danger to themselves or to others, we will ensure that we bring them inside ourselves.
Thanks. Yeah. Holly, then Julia.
Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Morning, Holly. How are you?
Good. I wanted to ask about the strategic response group. You were very clear earlier this week that you didn't want to disband this controversial and protesters at the ICE protest. But then in a follow-up statement, I think after that, I'm not sure the exact timing, your spokespeople said that you were pleased with the strategic response group response to that particular protest. So I just wanted to ask you directly, what were you pleased about, and what are your thoughts on how they handled those?
Look, I think first and foremost, I want to recognize and commend New Yorkers who are exercising their First Amendment rights and exercising them to protest the horrific acts of a reckless agency that operates with impunity across this country. We know that this is a shock to the conscience of many across the city and across this nation. And also in the response to that protest, I think that NYPD officers acquitted themselves well in ensuring that no one was injured and that this was calmly brought to an end. And I continue to believe that we should disband the strategic response group and we should decouple the responsibilities of responding to counterterrorism and responding to the exercising of First Amendment rights. And that continues to be the focus of internal conversations. And as soon as we have updates on it, we will share as soon as it's operational.
Yeah, Julia.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Hi, Julie.
I know you've been urging people to call 311 to help people that are outside. I called 311, and I have to tell you my experience. It was not great. I called 311. They switched me to 911. The call halfway through got disconnected. All right, so rather than call 311, I called 911 directly. Now I'm on the phone with 911, and they're taking down information, and then they're relaying it to EMS. And they gave a completely different description of the person on the street that I gave. So now I had to clarify that. And then that EMS, okay, thank you, goodbye. I don't know if anybody was sent. I actually called your office because somebody was out on the street with no coat, who's been there for quite a while. So how can that be improved, and how can the response be better, or that chain of command be better?
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is thank you for having made that call, because I think what is key to this is that we are only going to get through this storm in the way that we want to if we do so together. And the first step is making that kind of a decision to call 311. I also think that we cannot rest until the level of service across city government is an excellent level of service. So I think what you've identified are a couple points, whether it has to do with the connectivity of the call itself or it has to do with the information being relayed. And that's information that we're going to follow up on.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we've got to move on.
There are indications, because I did go on the website, an indication where you can inform the website, the 311 website, about a homeless person in the cold, because I did not see that on the website.
We'll follow up on that. Thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah, last one, Timmy, right here.
Sort of similar. Just 2 days ago, I was in Brooklyn and I saw a gentleman sleeping on the sidewalk, and I thought of what you said. I happened to look up and there were 2 officers across the street, so I went over and I flagged them. And they went up to him and they woke him up, and he told them that he wanted to stay out there, and he waved them away. And the officers came up to me after, and they said he seemed, rational and coherent, and in that case, there's sort of nothing we can do. He can't stay there, but as long as the officer can get up on the sidewalk and leave, there's nothing we can do. So is that sort of how those outreaches are supposed to work? At what point is someone a threat to themselves?
There are a number of specific criteria that is used in determining whether one is a danger to themselves or to others. I think we can find some of this criteria also in how an individual is clothed, whether they are deemed to actually be warm in those settings, as well as their behavior. And for the New Yorkers who are deemed to be a threat to themselves or to others, there is a process of involuntary confinement, which is a last resort. However, it has been utilized a number of times whenever city workers have come to that conclusion. In addition to that, what I am incredibly appreciative of when it comes to city workers is that they are continuing to canvass people again and again and again. If you speak to a homeless outreach worker, you will inevitably hear a story of someone that they went to who said no to them one day, no to them the next day, and then for whatever reason said yes to them the day after that. And that's why the sustained, repeated outreach is so critically important. And I also know that these have been conditions that have demanded everything from every city worker. I went to Bellevue the other night to see it transformed into a warming center. And I saw there that New Yorkers who were already putting in one shift, finding it within themselves to help again. And too often, this is a crisis that is distilled only into statistics. And when you actually sit with those New Yorkers who are homeless, who have been living through these kinds of conditions, and you learn of how they had been failed by the city for years, it also brings to mind what we are reckoning with in those conversations. Because some of the times, the reason that a homeless New Yorker will tell you no is also because of what their experience has been in the past. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.